in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness, have appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of humanity. We beseech you to look upon with your abundant favor these your servants, whom you've been pleased to call to the performance of such important trusts in this land. Let your blessing descend upon them here assembled, and grant that they may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under their deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory and to advance the good of those whose interests you have committed to their church. Amen.
Amen. Item number 3, proclamation by the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament.
Whereas in Article 101, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution of Uganda mandates His Excellency the President at the beginning of each session of Parliament to deliver to Parliament an address of the State of Nation. Aware that His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda has, in accordance with the Article 101, Sub-Article 1, indicated to the Speaker of Parliament his intention to address Parliament on the State of Nation on 5th January 2025. Now, therefore, in accordance with Rule 18.1 of the Rules of Procedure, hereby proclaim that 1. Parliament shall sit at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds on 5th June 2025 at 14 hours. To receive the address of His Excellency the President of Republic of Uganda on the State of Nation, and the Kololo Ceremonial Grounds to be the precincts of Parliament for the above mentioned purpose, given under my hand at Parliament House, Kampala on 5th day of June 2025.
Item number 4, communication from the Chair.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, accompanied by the First Lady and the Minister of Education and Sports, Mama Janet Kataha Museveni, Her Excellency, the Vice President, Major Retired Jessica Alupo Epel, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament of Uganda, His Lordship, Honorable Deputy Chief Justice, Dr. Flavian Zeja, who is also here to represent the Chief Justice, the Honorable Visiting Speakers and Presiding Officers of Parliaments of Africa and their representatives. We have the Right Honorable Alban Kingford Sumana Bangbin, the Speaker of Parliament of Ghana and the Chairperson of the Conference of Speakers of African Union Legislatures, COSPAL. Right Honorable, just raise up and wave to us. The Right Honorable Vital Kamerhe, the President of the National Assembly of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Join me in welcoming our guests. The Right Honorable Lucas Sinibo Moha, the Chairperson of the National Council of Parliament of Namibia. You're most welcome. The Right Honorable Joseph Intakrotinimana, the Speaker of the East African Legislative Assembly. You're welcome. The Right Honorable Jaffa Amson Kingi, the Speaker of the Senate of Kenya. You're welcome. The Right Honorable Pamena, the Deputy Speaker of the Transitional National Legislature of South Sudan. You're welcome. The Right Honorable Prime Minister and Leader of Government Business in Uganda, the Right Honorable Nabanja. The Right Honorable Matthew Nyuma, the Majority Leader and Leader of Government Business of the National Assembly of Sierra Leone and a member of the Bureau of the Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific States, the European Union, that is OACP, yes, EU, all the Deputy Prime Ministers of Uganda, the Vice Chairperson of the National Resistance Movement, that is Alhaji Moses Chigongo, all the members of the Central Executive Committee of the National Resistance Movement, the Honorable Leader of Opposition in Parliament, Honorable Senyonyi Joel, Cabinet Ministers and Ministers of State, Your Excellencies, the heads of diplomatic mission, High Commissioners, Ambassadors and members of Diplomatic Corps, Honorable members of Parliament of Uganda and members of the East African Legislative Assembly, Honorable Clifford Ande, Member of Parliament of Shiselish and member of the Bureau of OAC CPS EU, the guest members from other legislatures, the Secretary General of the National Resistance Movement, Honorable Richard Todong, the distinguished former leaders, notably Right Honorable Amama Mbabasi, I've seen, and others, the traditional, cultural, and religious leaders that are present here, the permanent secretaries, the heads of public agencies, corporations, and parastatals, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to this inaugural sitting of the 5th session of the 11th Parliament of Uganda. Today marks the beginning of the final year of the 11th Parliament. I will state without any fear of contradiction that this Parliament has been the epitome of the people-centered legislature. I want to commend His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, for his unwavering support to the legislature. And I also want to commend all of you members for living up to your role and responsibility. Thank you so much. In a special way, I take this opportunity to appreciate all the speakers and presiding officers of sister parliaments and legislatures in Africa that have honored our invitation. Thank you so much for your solidarity and for loving Uganda. You are most welcome to Uganda, the Pearl of Africa. Honorable members, it's a command of the 1995 Constitution of Republic of Uganda under Article 101, Sub-Article 1, that the President shall, at the beginning of each session of Parliament, deliver to Parliament an address to the State of the Nation. Therefore, today the House and indeed the nation will receive the presidential address on the state of nation. Unless circumstances dictate, this will be the final State of Nation address that the 11th Parliament will receive from His Excellency the President, especially that, considering that by this time next year, the 12th Parliament will be in session. Basing on that, it is a historic opportunity for all patriots and the people of goodwill to reflect on our collective achievements as a nation and take stock of the prevailing challenges and opportunities for a sustained growth of our beloved nation, Uganda. Your Excellency and honorable members, during the previous session, Parliament's performance was generally outstanding and was characterized by greater responsiveness, efficiency, and effectiveness. To this end, Parliament of Uganda held 75 sittings, during which 2 oaths were administered to new members of Parliament. That is Honorable Akifensa Grace Ngabirano and Honorable Luimbasi Elias Nalkola. 35 bills were passed, 3 petitions were concluded, 45 resolutions were passed, and 53 reports were adopted. I take this opportunity to commend the members of Parliament and all the entities that took time and contributed to the passing of the following laws: the Appropriation Bill 2024, the Higher Education Students Financing Amendment Bill 2024, the National Commission for UNESCO Amendment Bill 2024, the National Information Technology Authority Uganda Amendment Bill 2024, the Cotton Development Bill, Amendment Bill 2024, the Dairy Industry Amendment Bill 2024, the National Agricultural Advisory Services Amendment Bill 2024, the National Forestry and Tree Planting Amendment Bill 2024, the National Arbitration and Conciliation Amendment Bill 2024, the National Coffee Amendment Bill 2024, the Uganda National Roads Authority Repeal Bill 2024, the Uganda Road Fund Amendment Bill 2024, the Public Enterprise Reform and Divestiture Amendment Bill 2024, the Tier 4 Institutions and Moneylenders Amendment Bill 2024, the Non-Performing Assets Recovery Trust Repeal Bill 2024, the Technical and Vocational Education Technical Bill, Training Bill 2024, the National Sports Amendment Bill 2024, the Occupational Safety and Health Amendment Bill 2023, the Employment Amendment Bill 2023, the Exercise Duty Amendment Bill 2025, the Income Tax Amendment Bill 2025, the Public Service Pension Fund 2024, the East African Community Mediation Agreement Bill 2024, the Sugar Amendment Bill 2023, the Value Added Tax Amendment Bill 2025, the Exercise Duty Amendment Bill number 2, 2025, the Tax Procedure Code Amendment Bill 2025, the Income Tax Amendment Bill number 2, 2025, the External Trade Amendment Bill 2025, the Stamp Duty Amendment Bill 2025, the Hides and Skins Export Duty Amendment Bill 2025, the Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2025, the Appropriation Bill 2025, the Political Parties and Organizations Amendment Bill 2025, the Uganda People's Defense Forces Amendment Bill 2025. Your Excellency, Parliament of Uganda recognizes the importance of greater efficiency and effectiveness of public service as a cornerstone of service delivery and an instrument of the realization of our national development aspirations. To this end, among the bills passed during the fourth session are those that seek to reform the pension management in both the public service and military, and those that seek to enhance the growth and development of the private sector. Fellow Ugandans, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on 9th January 2025, Parliament approved the fourth National Development Plan, NDP4, for the years 2025, 2026, 2029, 2030. This plan is our national blueprint for transformation and sustainable development of our country. The budget speech that we shall receive on 12th June 2025 is aligned to this national development plan. I take the cognizance of the contribution of all stakeholders in the formulation and realization of this plan. Your Excellency, after my communication, and if it does please you, Your Excellency, I will request that before you commence on your address to Parliament and by extension to the nation, you symbolically unveil the NDP4, a document that will be a precursor to the budget speech, which will be held on 12th June 2025. Your Excellency, in line with our vision of being a people-centered parliament, during the fourth session, the Parliament of Uganda held its first ever regional sitting at Kaunda Grounds in Gulu City. That is northern Uganda, from 28th to 30th August 2024. During this sitting, issues specific to the region were deliberated upon, and a series of community outreach and civic engagement were conducted. Your Excellency, we take this opportunity to thank you for gracing the opening of that historic sitting which took place in Gulu City. The legislature will continue to place the common person at the center of all its parliamentary processes and decisions. We are optimistic that in the near future, Parliament will hold another regional sitting that will cover other regions of the country. In a bid to foster Pan-Africanism and international collaboration with other legislatures and interparliamentary bodies, we continued to further interparliamentary diplomacy through active participation and membership in various interparliamentary bodies, such as the East African Community Bureau of Speakers, the Conference of Speakers and Presiding Officers of the African Union Legislatures, that's COSPAL, the Interparliamentary Union, IPU, the Pan-African Parliament, PAP, the European Union, Africa, Caribbean, and Pacific, EU, ACP, Group and the Commonwealth Parliamentary Station, CPA, to mention but a few. Your Excellency, the impressive representation of our sister legislatures at this State of Nation address is a testimony of our good standing among the international community of nations. I take this opportunity to once again welcome our guest speakers and presiding officers and thank them for traveling from far and wide to witness this historic occasion. You're most welcome. Join me in welcoming our guests. Your Excellency and honorable members, I take this opportunity to thank you for your role in enabling the remarkable output registered by legislature during the fourth session. I will reiterate my appreciation for the consistent support of His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Your Excellency, the 11th Parliament draws inspiration of your effective and impactful leadership as a key enabler and a societal transformation. We undertake that the fifth session that you'll open today will remain steadfast in effectively executing its mandate in furtherance to the National Vision 2040 that aims in transforming Uganda in modern and a prosperous nation within the 30 years. Your Excellency and honorable members, as you may be aware that Article 83, Sub-Article A of the 1995 Constitution permits members of Parliament to leave and join political parties or political organizations of their choice within 12 months before the end of term of Parliament, to participate in activities or programs of political parties or political organizations relating to the general election. To this end, I am in receipt of notification by the following members opting to join respective political parties. Honorable Twaha Kagabo, MP Bukoto South, from the National Unity Platform to the National Resistance Movement. Honorable Akol Anthony, MP Clark North, from the Forum for Democratic Change to the National Resistance Movement. Honorable Jarama Pendusi Martin, from Baradegi Laibi, from the Independent Opposition Leaning to the National Resistance Movement. Honorable Ongetho Emmanuel, from Jonam County from Forum for Democratic Change to the National Resistance Movement. Honorable Mpuga Matthias Nyendo Mukungwe, from the National Unity Platform to the Democratic Front. Honorable Dr. Abed Bwanika, MP Kimanya Kabonera, from National Unity Platform to the Democratic Front. Honorable Kakembo Michael, MP Entebbe Municipality, from the National Unity Platform to the Democratic Front. Honorable Kakandi Juliet Nakabuye, City Woman MP Masaka, from the National Unity Platform to the Democratic Front. We wish the members well in the exercise of their freedom of association as prescribed in Article 29 of the Constitution of Uganda, which we swore to uphold. Your Excellency and honorable members, despite the remarkable strides that we have made, the fourth session was not without any challenges. we regrettably lost 2 sitting members of parliament in the person of Honorable Sarah Mateke, woman member of parliament of Kisoro, and Honorable Mohammed Segrinya, MP Kawempe North. We continue to pray for internal reports of their souls. Pursuant to Article 94(4)(a) of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, 1995, and Rule 26(1) of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament of Uganda, legislature will continue to prioritize government business. We look forward with optimism to government legislative agenda for the fifth session and other plans that may be contained in today's presidential address of nation. I say all this for God and my country. Your Excellency, as I had earlier on stated in my communication, I will now take this singular honor and privilege to invite you to unveil the National Development Plan 4. Your Excellency, you'll be joined by my good self and the Deputy Speaker, the Ministers of Finance, to perform this activity.
Item number 5, invitation by the Right Honourable Speaker to His Excellency the President to deliver to Parliament an address on the state of the nation in accordance with Article 1011 of the Constitution.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, it is your mandate under Article 101, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution, at the beginning of each session of Parliament, to deliver to Parliament your address on the state of nation. Honorable members, as we welcome the President to deliver his address on the state of nation, we draw your attention to Rule 10 of the Rules of Procedure, which provide in Sub-Rule 4A that the President, while occupying the chair of a state, may make a presidential statement which shall be heard in silence and not followed by any comment or question. I now take the singular honor and privilege to invite you, Your Excellency, to address the August House and the nation by extension. You are most welcome, Mr. President.
Her Excellency the Vice President, the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament, His Lordship the Chief Justice, Right Honourable Deputy Speaker of Parliament, His Lordship the Deputy Chief Justice, the Right Honourable Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Ministers, Honourable Ministers, Honourable Members of Parliament, Honourable Members of the Diplomatic Corps, cultural and religious leaders, the Wananchi, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. In fulfillment of the constitutional requirement under Article 101, Clause 1 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, I am here to deliver the State of the Nation Address 2025. Fellow countrymen, countrywomen, and especially the Bazukulu, abantu abo, I applaud you all for positively utilizing the peace and tranquility prevailing across the country and the improved physical infrastructure to improve your personal lives, your families, and your communities. Since the last State of the Nation address, a number of people have unfortunately departed from this earth. They include His Holiness the Pope, late Pope Francis, the late Honorable Major John Kazora, former Member of Parliament of Kashari, the late Honorable Sarah Mateke Nyirabashitsi, the former Minister of State for Defense, the late Honorable Muhammad Segirinya, the former Member of Parliament for Kawempe North, the late Honorable Dr. Yako Chisa, the former Member of Parliament for Queen County, the late Honorable Babadiri Margaret, the former woman Member of Parliament for Koboko District, the late Honorable Margaret Komhanji, the former woman Member of Parliament for Nakasongora District, the late Honorable Cicero Ignatius, the former Member of Parliament for Bujaga County East, the late Honorable Frank Nabuiso, the former Member of Parliament for Kagoma County, and many other Ugandans who have succumbed to accidents, illnesses, etc. I request that we rise up and observe a moment of silence in the memory of those that have passed on. May their souls rest in eternal peace. Sit down. In the Gospel, according to St. Matthew, chapter 7, verses 24 to 27, Jesus talked about two kinds of builders. The wise builder, who built his house on the rock, and the foolish builder, who built his house on sand. When the rain, floods, and wind came upon both houses, that of the foolish man was swept away, because its foundation was weak, while the one of the wise man remained standing, because its foundation was firm and strong. The national resistance movement can be likened to the wise man in Jesus' parable, because we have been able to establish the necessary foundation to catapult Uganda to modernity based on the four principles ideology. The principles are patriotism, love Uganda; Pan-Africanism, love Africa; socio-economic transformation, and democracy. The aim of this ideology is to promote the mass line, i.e., guaranteeing the social uplift of all segments of the society, and not just the few elites. The mass line programs such as UPE and UPE's Universal Primary Education and Universal Secondary Education, the mass immunization campaigns, the wealth creation funds, e.g. Operation Wealth Creation, PDM, Operation Wealth Creation of the Army, where the Army was involved, OWC, etc., have led to significant improvements in the quality of life in Uganda. Life expectancy in Uganda is now 63 years compared to 45 years in 1986. This means that Ugandans are now living longer. In 1986, Uganda's population was only 14 million. The National Population Housing Census conducted last year showed that Uganda's population is now 46 million people. The literacy rate has also improved from 43% in 1986 to 80% now. In 1986, more than 90% of the population was trapped in subsistence farming. i.e., working only for food with no surplus to take to the market to get money. There has been a significant reduction in the percentage of households in subsistence agriculture. They are now 33%. And you hear that at the beginning they were 90%. These few illustrations show that implementing the mass line programs is the most effective way of triggering socio-economic transformation. Therefore, in line with the mass line philosophy of the NRM, we must prioritize the following. Number one, peace and security of person and their property in all parts of the country. Number 2, accelerating industrialization with focus on building factories which use locally available materials as inputs. Number 3, export promotion and import substitution by boosting the domestic manufacturing capacity. Number 4, strengthening the private sector. Number 5, increasing market access for our exports, both in the regional markets such as East African Community, COMESA, among others, and international markets. Number 6, skilling our youth through the zonal to acquire skills in tailoring, carpentry, metal fabrication, welding, shoemaking, weaving, hairdressing, knitting, and bakery. We shall add also plumbing and motor mechanics. The training is free of charge and no prior education qualifications are required, as you all know. Number 7, increasing revenue collection by Uganda Revenue Authority without hurting businesses. Number 8, expenditure rationalization by restructuring the government. And I thank the Parliament here, as you heard the Speaker was listing those bills which you passed, which enabled this rationalization to take place. Fighting corruption, number 9. Number 10, ensuring that the remaining 33% of the homesteads still practicing subsistence agriculture join the money economy. The general security situation in the country is calm. However, the traditional and non-traditional threats to national security continue to manifest in the form of terrorism, negative political activism, general and cross-border crime, as well as health and environmental risks. The national borders are secure, save for the spillover effects resulting from the conflicts in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, South Sudan, Sudan, Khartoum, and Somalia. These include influx of refugees and asylum seekers, illegal immigrants, and proliferation of small arms and light weapons. The capacity of the national security agencies, i.e. Uganda Police Force, the Internal Security Organization, supported by the Army, the UPDF, has been enhanced in order to combat crimes and guarantee the safety of all Ugandans. You saw how they stopped this young person who blew herself up the other day because she wanted to go into where people are, but it was foiled. It was intercepted before, and she decided to blow herself up because she was discovered. The security situation in Karamoja sub-region has significantly improved, despite pockets of criminality in the form of livestock thefts and some incursions by the Pokot and Turkana from Kenya. Deployments to stop cattle thefts by some of the Karamojong in the neighboring sub-districts, sub-regions of Sebei, Teso, Lango, and Acholi have been maintained. In the eastern DRC, the joint FADC is the Congolese army, UPDF operations against ADF are ongoing with significant achievements. Since November 2024, 223 abductees have been rescued from captivity and some firearms and bombs have been captured, including IEDs, improvised explosive devices. The government continues to modernize and professionalize Uganda's security forces by improving their welfare and strengthening the cooperation between the civilian population and the security forces. The UPDF, Uganda People's Defense Force Construction Brigade, has rehabilitated schools in rural communities and together with the National Enterprise Corporation has been involved in the rehabilitation of major infrastructure such as Entebbe International Airport. It is paramount to jealously regard Uganda's political and economic stability. All attempts to destabilize Uganda by internal and external actors have been thwarted and defeated. We welcome mutual and non-parasitic collaboration with everybody. Uganda's priorities and interests are very clear, and therefore our allies must respect and uphold them in all their dealings with us. The patriotic leadership in charge of the country's affairs cannot deviate from its historical mission to defend and transform Uganda and Africa on account of threats by some of our allies who misunderstand our goals and methods of work. For instance, we are soon finalizing the construction of the 1,443 East African crude oil pipeline from Burisa on Lake Albert to Tanga in Tanzania. This East African crude pipeline will take our crude oil to the international market through the sister country of Tanzania. The construction of the standard gauge railway, which I launched last year, is soon starting, and we have signed a memorandum of understanding with Alpha BMP Investment Group of the United Arab Emirates to start the construction of the oil refinery in Hoima. Many other projects in roads, energy, ICT, schools, hospitals, and agriculture have continued to be implemented despite the World Bank and the USA suspending new financing to Uganda. Our economy remains strong and resilient. It was recently ranked 7th by the International Monetary Fund among the fastest growing economies of the whole world. The size of the economy is projected at Uganda shilling is $224.9 trillion, equivalent to $60 billion by the end of June 2025. In 1986, the economy was only Uganda shillings 42 billion, or US dollars 3.9 billion. This means that in dollar terms, the size of the economy has expanded nearly 15 times since the NRM government took power in January 1986. The economy grew by 6.7% in the first quarter of this financial year, compared to 5.6% recorded in the same period last year. This is on top of the growth of 6.1% in the financial year 2023-2024. Economic growth is projected at 6.3% this financial year and further projected to grow to 7% in the financial year 25-26. It is projected to grow faster when commercial production of oil and gas starts next year. In purchasing power parity terms, our economy is projected to be US dollars 171.6 billion by the end of this financial year in June 2025. And next financial year, equivalent to about 65.7 billion using the Atlas method. This will be equivalent to US dollars 187 billion in purchasing power parity terms. This growth will translate into higher household incomes from US dollars 1,259 income per capita by the end of this financial year to US dollars 1,330 as income per capita next financial year. In the past 4 years, our growth has been broad-based, inclusive, and pro-poor. The latest National Housing Survey report that was released recently by the Uganda Bureau of Statistics shows that the share of Ugandans living below national poverty line has fallen to 16% from 20% 4 years ago, surpassing the 2025 national target of 18.5%. With the continued implementation of the PDM, we are on track to completely wipe out poverty in the near future. The same UBOS report revealed that income inequality has also declined significantly over the last 4 years. The Gini coefficient, a statistical measure used to determine the extent of income inequality within a population, has reduced 38% from 41% in 2020. In the 12 months to March 2025, export receipts from merchandise trade increased by 26% to US dollars 9.3 billion. The Ugandan shilling is the most stable currency in the whole of Africa. During the past 12 months, it has appreciated by 6.1%. Inflation is under control. It is projected at 3.6% in financial year 2024-2025. And Uganda has experienced Africa's second lowest inflation rate in the past decade. Foreign direct investment inflows are projected at US dollars 3.8 billion, while tourism and remittance receipts from Ugandans abroad are projected at US dollars 1.5 billion and 1.4 billion respectively. During the next 5 years, it is projected that Uganda's GDP is going to more than double to USD 158 billion in 2030 in exchange rate terms and US dollars 296 billion in purchasing power parity terms. These achievements are not by accident. They are on account of deliberate and focused government interventions. Cumulatively, over the last 10 years, the government has injected 8 trillion shillings in strategic wealth creation initiatives, which have boosted economic performance. These initiatives include: number one, capitalization of the Uganda Development Bank, 1.45 trillion shillings, to provide affordable capital to manufacturers and small businesses. 2, parish development model, 3.4 trillion by the end of this financial year for the poor rural families. 3, Emyoga, 553 billion shillings. 4, Youth Livelihood Program, 207 billion. 5, Small Business Recovery Fund, 100 billion. 6, Agriculture Credit Facility, 495 billion. Youth Venture Capital Fund, 12.5 billion. Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Program, 168 billion. Invite Project, 800 billion. The Grow Project, 824 billion. And the Uganda Development Corporation, shillings 1.2 trillion, among others. Merchandise goods exports grew by 26% to US $9.3 billion in the year ending March 2025. The top exports include gold, $3.7 billion, coffee, $1.8 billion, cocoa, $410 million, industrial products such as cement, Uganda, US $335 million, metal products such as steel, US $230 million, sugar, US $190 million, fish, $177 million. The export value of milk and milk products increased 10 times from US $28 million in 2015 to US $285 million in 2024. The total export earnings of goods and services reached US $11.81 billion by March 2025. The prices of consumer goods and services have remained low, averaging 3.4% in the past 12 months to April 2025. This is good for savers and investors to be able to plan their investments and plan with certainty. The low inflation was due to a stable exchange rate, good crop harvests, and the decreasing global prices of liquid fuels. The prices of diesel, petrol, and kerosene reduced by 4.2%, 2.5%, and 1.7% respectively on average for the year ending April 2025. The increased domestic capacity in sugar production has led to a reduction in the consumer prices of sugar by 10.8% in April from what it was the same month a year ago. For Abaganda tugamba nti akatali kabbe temanyi Luganda. Akatali kabbe oli amagumba osula mu mulyango. Bano Baganda bakika ki bannange? The prices of beef have increased by 10%, in part due to the increased export of beef to the Middle East, which has increased demand. This is good for the cattle keepers. The problem we still have is the disease outbreaks in some parts of the country,